I want to show you the swatch I'm knitting for the knit along. Now I'm doing a little bit more knitting than you because I am still trying to make some color decisions, and I also wanted to be sure I had a lot to show you as a sample. Now to start with, remember I'm going to be sharing with you all of my mistakes as we go along. Since I haven't knit this sweater yet, let's start with the very first one. And that is I did not bring home Allison's pattern. So I tried to remember how often she did her color repeats, and I thought it was every 5th round, and it turns out it's every 6th. So the first one, my color repeats are done every 5th round, which is fine. This is Raisin with Sun-Kissed Shimmer, which I like. I'm just not in love with it. It's fine. So what I did is I went on and I knit up, and I did a purl row to kind of differentiate between the two groupings. Then after I talked to Allison and I got her pattern, this was Spice with Raisin, which is turning out to be my favorite. That's what I'll end up using for my sweater, and I did it every 6th round like she did. Nah, not so happy with that. See, this is why you have to do swatches. It isn't just about gauge. It's about understanding what you're working with. For one thing, I want to make sure I use the right needle size for gauge and for feel, and this is feeling exactly the way I want it to. But I'm not so thrilled with how often the spacing's happening here. It's not dramatic enough for me. So notice how the second half, I started going every, let's see, 3rd round, so which means I do 1 round of the 3 strands, the 2 in Raisin and the 1 in Spice, do 2 rounds of only Raisin, 3rd round, the 3 strands, 2 rounds. So see, it's more often. I like that more speckled look compared to it being out so much. Again, your decision. You may want to make your spacing even bigger. It's not going to affect the final size of your garment. You're just choosing when you're going to throw in your colored bit of yarn. So it's your decision, okay? Anyway, I am trying a 3rd color of shimmer. I can't remember what I think it's stained glass. It's not showing up basically very much at all. You can see a little tiny bit of the purple there. May like it, may not. I think it's way too subtle for me. It cools down the Raisin. That's the other thing that I'm finding fascinating with Raisin is when the Sun-Kissed and Spice, the Raisin gets, it makes it even more of a warm purple. But when I started adding the stained glass, I think the Raisin's going to get too cool. It takes the whole thing and cools it down into something that I wouldn't wear that much. But I'm still going to try it. I can see if I like it or not. Here's the thing I do want to show you. When you are knitting a swatch, you need to knit it in the exact same way you're going to knit the garment. If you're knitting the garment in flat pieces, then knit your swatch flat. If you're knitting in the round, you need to knit the swatch in the round, okay? It won't do you any good to knit across and purl back and knit across and purl back, and then when you knit the garment, be knitting round and round and round and round and round. You're going to change gauge. Here's a little trick I want to tell you about, because I don't want you to think that you have to knit like an entire sleeve in order to make a swatch. Here you go. I've knit across. And look at this. There's no back. All I do is pull the yarn back to the beginning and knit across. All I want is to be only knitting with no purling. That's how I'll get the correct gauge. So I've knit all the way to the end. Let me just show you how this works. You're going to love it. I've knit to the end, right? I just finished, let's say, knitting. It's now all here. All I do is pull all my knitting to the other end of the needle, back to the beginning, okay? Pull my needle tip up, and I reach over here, grab the yarn, bring it over across the back. You have to kind of hold the tension with a finger, you know, while you're working, and all I do is start knitting again, and I have both strands of yarn. There we go. And I knit across, and I knit all the way across, and When I get to the other end, I pull the whole knitting to the tip of the needle and I start again. That's how you can do your swatch and not have to do as much knitting as you think. You're running out of excuses, aren't you? Yep, that's what I thought. Get going on your swatch and then we can start the sweater. Bye.